myself. My name is Zarin. I'm the returning officer of MUSA General Elections 2024. And here with us today is the School of Business representative candidates. They are Adwa and Hazel from the party Equitas. So without further ado, let's listen to the opening statement where they will present about introduction about themselves and also their manifesto. So please take it over.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Hazel. I'm currently pursuing Bachelor of Business and Commerce in Business Analytics and Econs, and I'm currently in year 2, Sem 1. So in the past, currently I'm in the SOB subcom as an operations officer. So I understand the flow of SOB and understand how the organization works.
Hello everyone, my name is Mudaffar Adwa. I go by Adwa. I am a year 3 Sem 2 student in SOB doing double degree as well, business management and arts. Currently, my role in MUSA is I'm the sports officer, so I was responsible for the planning, organizing of the Monash Cup. And yes, I am the candidate for the SOB male rep position this year.
So I'm going to talk about our manifesto right now, and one of them is to host academic and leisure activities. So this way we plan to sort of be a bridge between SOB students and more professionals outside who are currently in the business industry. And we hope to do this by having seminars and workshops. In addition, we plan to host leisure events so that people can build relationships within Monash. Specifically School of Business students being able to work together with other schools and get to know each other more. Yeah.
And the second point of our manifesto is that we would like to be a voice for the students. So as the school reps, I understand that we are here to represent students, and there will be many academic concerns from students, especially knowing that SOB is the biggest school. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that their voices are heard and their concerns are heard. It can be to do with anything, but mostly academic. So how we want to make sure that these concerns are heard is through weekly surveys. We also want to utilize our current platforms such as our Instagram page. So either through Instagram stories or maybe through a Q&A session, or maybe even they want to reach out to us directly. We'll be open to that, and we'll make sure that the students are aware of that. And yeah, so this is gonna be one of our top priorities for next year, is to make sure that students, their concerns are heard, and we do our best to make sure that they are mitigated. So yeah.
All right, so that's the end of the opening statement from the candidates. Now allow me to introduce the School of Business representative, Imelda, to the stage so that she can ask questions to the candidates.
Hi, alright, so my first question for you is, in what ways do you intend to collaborate with other schools or departments to enhance the overall student experience for business students?
Okay, so last semester we collaborated with some of the schools for movie trivia night, and I would say that it was a success, but I also believe that there are some things that we can do to improve on it. And I was thinking we can have sort of like an escape room, or maybe more of an outdoor activity, maybe that will make the connections stronger between, people who joined. And for us to collaborate with them, we have to, be close to the other schools' reps. So I think it's a really good opportunity for Adwan and I to get to know the other school reps and to plan these events with them so that we can have a good communication between each other. Yeah. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just to add on, so far this year, my 3 years of being an SOB student, I feel like having those collab events, from what I noticed as a student, is that those collab events are usually the biggest school events of the year. And that's why it is, I guess it's both our intentions for to collab more with those with other schools. So not only to make it a bigger event, but also to make it more high quality. And with these more bigger and higher quality events, hopefully students will be a lot more involved, and they'll just enjoy uni life a lot more that way. So yeah.
Okay, on to my next question. What strategies will you implement to increase student involvement in the School of Business, and how do you plan to foster a sense of community among students?
So regarding this, I think this relates back to our second point of the manifesto. Um, of course, with SOB, there's so many reps. There's so many reps. There's so many majors, and it can be a bit, let's say, everyone can feel different sometimes. So maybe someone from management, someone from BA, it's a bit different. That's why I feel like it ties back to our manifesto. Having those leisure events, having those academic events where everyone can really come together, all business students can come together to work towards their common goal, whether it be to make their own business or maybe to be in the industry. I think that would be great. And also, through our second point, expressing academic concerns, if everyone can just come together and maybe have an open space where I might be having a bit difficulty with this, I ask other SOB students and we give them the platform to do that, then I feel like that'll be a great way for SOB students to come together and share their knowledge, or maybe if it's also leisure, have fun together as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Adwa, and I think to expand more on like understanding their concerns, I feel like a good way to enhance their school time, like their time in Monash, and to build relationships and all that, is for them to be able to voice their concerns in terms of their academic or like their units. So we plan to have pop box right outside MUSA, or ask use publicity and ask them to post on our Instagram story about any concerns that anybody might have regarding their units. And I think this is really important to enhance their school life, like their school experience. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you plan to balance academic activities with leisure events to ensure both are valued by students?
So in terms of leisure events, I think it's fairly easy because there are a lot of things to choose from. There are a lot of activities that we can choose from. There's outdoor and indoor. We can go outside. We can do stuff inside. There are a lot of things we can do. The more concerning one is the academic activities, because it's fairly hard to find professionals outside Monash who are willing to talk to students or share their experience. It's more of like it takes a lot of time. So I feel like although we have to put a lot of our effort on leisure activities, we should put a little bit more on academics in terms of reaching out to professionals to get good insights of the business related knowledge.
I fully agree with what Hazel says. We need to find a balance, but also maybe get more focus on academic events. Put more emphasis on academic events, but again, there was Hazel raised a good point about making sure we reach out to the correct people. But I feel like, as SOB, it has a long history. There's a lot of students here, right? The network is there, I believe so. And even if there isn't, I am willing to go out there and just ask a few questions, ask a lot of people, hey, are you willing to, help out Monash, host an academic event? So I feel like that shouldn't be an issue as well. But yeah, higher quality and maybe even more quantity in terms of events, hopefully, for next year.
Okay, and how do you intend to collaborate with the school faculty to enhance academic activities while also making them engaging for students?
So with the school faculty, can I just confirm school faculty as in like how they...
Like EMO?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that the school faculty, they already provide a really great platform for us to host events. So I feel like it's really just up to us to make sure we have the right ideas and making sure we execute them very well. So hopefully, of course, we need the time to brainstorm what events do we think will be useful, what events do you think will be the most useful for the SOB students. But in terms of engaging with the school faculty, I think they'll be they'll be able to provide more than enough for us to make sure that our events are well run and just useful as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Adwa on this, and I feel like we have to focus more on the quality of our events, and maybe a little, the quantity may not be that many, but we plan to focus on the quality of it so that we can have the best, we can provide the best experiences for students.
Okay, and how do you resolve conflict between the two of you should it arise? And how do you ensure that both of you consider each other's ideas?
I think it's very important for both of us to respect each other and to think of, to have a good communication between each other. And if ever we have any opinions that are in conflict with each other, we need to have a good communication system. We need to find a medium. And maybe if it's really that bad, we need to take more of like a break, a few days, and get back to it, get back to the problem so we can find a solution for it.
Yeah. So for me, in terms of resolving conflict, I feel like number one is always good communication. Um, I've always believed this before I've entered any roles within MUSA, and I still believe it to this day after my first year in MUSA. So maybe just to give a little bit of backstory, as the sports officer for this year, Monash Cup was, of course, one of the biggest events of the year. And I've had my fair share of conflicts, I'd say, both ones that I am myself involved in and also ones that I had to oversee as a sports officer. And what I realized from these conflicts is that it's always communication. It's always someone wanting one thing, but then they don't tell the other person. Or someone, they just do something directly, but then they don't let anyone else know, you know. And I feel like this is gonna be, it's such a simple thing, but it can really have great consequences. So for me, it's making sure that I have my platform and my opinions are heard, Hazel's opinions are heard, and also our subcoms. If they have any concerns, they're also heard. And just making sure that we also have that great bond between us, making sure that it's not very formal, you know, it's not, just making sure that at the end of the day, we're also friends in addition to being colleagues. And I feel like that will be another great step to making sure that conflicts within the team are resolved quickly if there are any.
Okay, and how will you ensure that students' academic concerns are effectively communicated to the school faculty?
So for academic concerns, this is, of course, as previously mentioned, that it's going to be one of our top priorities this year. So what we want to do is that we want to make use of our platform. So we have the social media, we have the Monash School of Business Instagram. So we want to utilize that. So maybe we have a weekly Q&A, we have maybe just something more regular, I'd say something more scheduled, something more structured. So students can know that, oh, I have a concern, I know when to put in this concern, and I know who to talk to. So what we want to make is that we want to make it a very structured thing through our platforms, but also maybe even physical. So maybe we can, as Hazel mentioned, maybe we can have like sort of a pop box thing where students can just put in their concerns, and then from there we compile everything, and then we also regularly talk to the staff in question. And we also want to make that a more structured and a more regular thing to make sure that we don't miss out on any concerns that students may have. And yeah, just making sure that everyone's opinion is heard and any concerns can be resolved as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so we should have a very clear structure of what we plan to do in terms of this issue. And once we collect all the issues we have every week or every month, then we can spend some of our time to go to the people that are, having issues, and then if it's really that bad, we can ask them more deeply about it, and then we can help to solve it by, maybe talking to the lecturers, maybe like telling them that, oh, this student is having problems, things like that. So let them know. Yeah.
Okay. And how will you make sure that both academic and leisure activities are inclusive and cater to diverse student interests?
Ooh. Okay, so in terms of like leisure, we can have those that are more chill, maybe we can, like the movie trivia night, it was quite chill in my opinion. The mingle night was a bit more hype because there are a lot more people and there are a lot more activities, so it was more, you needed more energy. In terms of academic, I think it's important to get different sectors in the business industry, like the banking, the analysts, etc. So I think it's really important to balance these things out, and I hope that Adwan and I will be able to make it as structured as possible so that everyone is not overloading or underloading in terms of planning these events.
Yeah, fully agree with what Hazel said. I feel like we need to. I think in terms of leisure activities, of course we have a lot to choose from, but at the same time we also want to know maybe what the people think. This is why it is important to not only for us to be involved in the planning process, but we want the whole team to be involved in the planning process, because with more voices we can know like what's popular, what do people want to do. So that's in terms of leisure, and also in terms of academic, Hazel mentioned very well that we need to make sure that different sectors of the business industry are all covered, so we can cater to all the different majors there are in the School of Business. So yeah.
Okay. And what initiatives will you implement to help students manage academic burnout while still encouraging participation in leisure activities?
So to make sure that academic burnout is controlled, but while also making sure that they can be involved in leisure activities, I think it's important to understand the context of these events. To understand like the timing is what I mean. So perhaps we wouldn't want something very dramatic and very outgoing towards the end of the sem, because maybe people are already tired from their assignments, And then on the other hand, maybe you want something to hype the people, to hype all SOB students up during the beginning of the sem. And through these events also, this is how academic burnout can be managed, I say, by just giving a bit of a breather from all the assignments. So by going to these events, they can get a breather from all their assignments. So yeah.
Yeah, and in reality, like in Monash, there's so many events that are not from School of Business. Like there's a lot. There's still other schools. There's MUSA. There's the Monash Business Club. There's a lot. So I understand that some students may not choose to join SOB events because there are a lot of other options to choose from, and they're also tired from doing all their assignments. But like Adwa said, I think it's in the beginning, the first few weeks, everyone is hyped up. So we need to make use of that and we get the most hyped activities out of it. And then when it's towards the end of the weeks, the end of the semester, usually week 11, week 12, like right now, everybody's so tired. So that's when we need the activities to be more low maintenance, more chill, and especially for SOB subcoms also, to make sure that they're also not overloading, and for SOB students.
Okay, those are all the questions I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so that's the end of the Q&A session from the office bearers. Now we'll be proceeding to the next section, which is Q&A from the students. If there's any questions on the floor that would like to ask the candidates questions physically, please feel free to do so. Just raise your hand and then we'll be passing the mic to you. If no, we'll take a look at the live stream questions if there's any questions, but we will definitely put more priorities to the audience that are physically here with us. Is there a question?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Chinna, can you help me to take the mic?
Mic test, mic test.
No, the mic is not connected at all for live stream audience.
Oh.
Yeah, so you just speak, it will live stream audience will hear you.
Okay. Mic test. So my question is, you mentioned a lot about the hype activities just now, right? You repeatedly saying that okay, you're gonna organize these hype activities to avoid like students getting stressed out, getting a breather out of assignments and everything. But with regards to, say, fundings wise, how do you make sure that you allocate your fundings wisely and effectively towards all your hyped activities? You know, like how many activities do you have in mind, and roughly how much you're going to spend, you know, for this kind of events?
So currently we have around 6 events every semester. Am I right? 6 events, and so usually each event they get at least 500 ringgit, but sometimes less because it's more of like the booth stuff, so they have less allocation. But for these hype activities, I think they need more funds, and Adwa and I will work on it to see how much is needed for each activity. So especially if we want to have like a field trip or an outdoor, that kind of thing, of course they need more funds, right? But if you want something indoor, you want something chill, of course you need less. So we'll allocate the funds based on how much we're given and how many activities there are, because like we said, we want to focus on quality than quantity. So we'll allocate it based on all these criterias, if that answers your question.
You're allowed to have one follow-up question if you have any other question. All good?
All good.
All right. Yeah, let's address this question as well.
Hello. So how do you plan your budget adequately and to make sure have equal amount of students' participation and support?
Sorry, can you repeat it one more time?
Okay. So how do you plan your budget adequately and to make sure have equal amount of student support and participation?
Yeah. So for the first part of the question, how do we allocate our funds adequately? Is that correct? Yeah. I guess this goes back to what Hazel said just now. It's all about making sure that we can really focus on quality instead of quantity. But at the same time, I also want to add that we also want to look at the demand. So for example, I think it's fair to say maybe that in the beginning of the SEM, you would have more students who are more willing to join events. In that case, it would make sense for us to put in more budget for that. But then towards the end, maybe we have an event, but then it's towards the end of the SEM, maybe we would want to allocate less. So it's really about understanding what the people want, understanding the demand. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a business student, so we should know what's the demand, what's the supply that we have. And okay, yeah, that's for the budget. And what the second part of the question was student support during these events, am I correct? So for student support, I guess it also goes back to just demand. It's all and well that we were saying all of these events that we want to host, but at the same time, we also want to hear what the people have to say. That's why I really want to get the SOB team really involved in the planning of these events. Just to really make sure that there are a lot of people's opinions, and that way we can really adjust our plan to make sure that, oh, maybe if we do this, more people join. Maybe if we do that, more people join. So yeah, it's really just about making sure we understand what people want exactly, and then from there, hopefully students are more willing to support these events.
We have a follow-up question? Yes.
Wait, I want to add on to what he said. So some of our events, we have less participation rate than we expected. So for example, one of our events, we planned to have at least 50, but in the end we only got 30. And so there's definitely going to be extra funds there. When we have the extra funds, we can use it, we can reallocate it to our other events that we think will have a higher participation rate. So yeah.
Okay, so to follow up your answer, I would ask that because you say in the beginning of the year you'll put more budget and the funds, but for the events like near to the end will be less a bit, right? But if that's the event that get high participation rate, how would you make sure that your budget won't overspend?
Yeah, so what I mean by with what I said just now is it's not the plan that we want to do, it's just about understanding the contract. This is my assumption that in the beginning, maybe more people will want to join these events, and then at the end, less people. This is just my assumption. So we should really take this on a case-to-case basis. So we have this one event, we see how many people want to join, we see what we can do with our funds, and how we can do it responsibly and not overspend on just one event. And then we just plan from there. So, but then, like you said, what if we have a big event in the beginning, but then at the end, it turns out this last event, people would really like to join. That's why I say it's about managing it responsibly. If we can make a really big event in the beginning, okay, we can. But then at the end, we'll have barely anything. So that's not something that we want to end up in. So it's all about planning from the beginning as well, like budget-wise. But then in terms of making sure that the demand is there, I feel like it should really be like a case-to-case basis to see how many students can join and or even want to join, you know.
Yeah, so like towards the end, I think there's the October mingle night, right? And that's when the new intakes come in. And I think that one will have a fairly high participation rate. So in terms of that event, I think we'll allocate our budget a lot more, not a lot more, but more than the chill activities. Yeah, that's when you're talking about towards the end, right, of the semester. Yeah.
Okay. One last question from my side. It's aside from those fundings allocated for your department, do you guys have any plans that you wish to undertake, say for next year? How do you increase the revenue? You know, what is your source of other income instead of relying solely on MUSA funding? How do you get more money for your department?
Yeah, so I think to me, the most obvious answer for this would be like merchandise. But at the same time, it has to be something that is worthwhile. Like, we don't want just to put out merchandise for the sake of putting out merchandise and get revenue. So we really want to put more effort into like our designs. Actually not design, just in publicity in general. I feel like we can really do a great effort from there, and then from there it can really put the School of Business out there. So, and then it all adds up to, for example, people wanting to join our events. So going back to your point is about revenue, I'd say merch, of course, first point. And there's also the possibility of maybe we look into events that have a sign-up fee. Not for like, so people, not to limit it, but it can really bring up the quality, the quantity of these events, right? So because a small amount of money from a lot of people, it all adds up and can really go a long way, you know, to make sure the event is way better than it is. So at the time being, that's what I can think of at this moment, but maybe I can think about it more. We can think about it more when we plan our whole, I guess, our whole term.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't have a lot of sometimes the participation rate is lower than we expect, right? So when that happened to me, my partner and I thought about like having a deficit, you know, in the forms when you sign up, you kind of put a bit of money in there so people are more willing to join. And then for those who don't join, we get the little money. You know, we can use it for ourselves. Those who like signed up and paid but didn't go, I think that's also a source of revenue.
Answer my question.
Okay, all right. So actually, there is a live stream question that I just received. So I believe the question is, what if the hype of the event does not reach your expectations? How do you make sure your event distinguish among the students when there's a huge club out there like Monash Business Club that usually attracts more students?
Uh, well, just to reiterate, what if our events do not live up to expectations? And
Yeah, so the question is, what if the hype does not reach your expectations? How do you make sure your event distinguish among the students when there's a huge club out there like MBC that usually attracts more students?
yeah, that's why I think what we can offer differently to clubs is that we are the school reps. We have that exclusivity that I think, especially when looking at maybe, I know the question about hype events, but maybe we can look at maybe also academic events. We really have that connection with the people in the industry, and we have that network, and I feel like that's our unique selling point in terms of events. So, and this is something that a lot of other clubs, okay, maybe Monash Business Club they can offer, but other than them, like it's not there. There's not a lot of other clubs that can offer something similar. So, with these events, I think it's also important for us to find something unique and something different, and not just putting out an event for the sake of doing an event, and then at the end it fails. So we really need to make sure that we provide something unique, we provide something that people want, and provide something that is hopefully successful. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say MBC is really good at attracting students, and they're very good in terms of planning their activities. That's something that we should learn from for SOB specifically. But we also want to focus on academic activities. You know, we want to make sure that the students in SOB are, you know, getting industry knowledge, they're getting outside knowledge. So I think since that's, and also like SOB is a platform for students to voice their concerns through our social media page and things like that. So I think that's also our selling point. Aside from having leisure activities, we also have these other things that will prioritize SOB students.
All right, so that's the end of the Q&A session from the students. Now we'll be proceeding to the next section, which is the closing statement from the candidates. So the candidates, you guys need to provide a closing statement to all the audiences that are present physically and also on the live stream on why they should vote for you, and also what is the conclusion from the debating session today.
Yeah, so firstly, I just want to thank everyone for attending, both online and physical. And thank you to the audience as well for their questions. So just to wrap up the session, I just want to say that me, Ado as the SOB rep, and Hazel as well as the SOB female rep, we really want to provide a great experience for SOB students next year, and to our academic events, to our leisure events, but also at the same time, we want to make sure that students, their concerns are heard. And because at the end of the day, what are we in uni for? We're here to learn, right? So we really want to make sure that that learning experience is the best it can be. And that's what we really want to focus on, and making sure that that academic experience is the best that it can be for SOB students specifically. And yeah, I guess that is our top priorities: leisure activities, academic activities, and making sure that academic concerns are well received and mitigated as best as they can be.
Yes, please vote for us.
All right, so that's the end of the debating session for today. And once again, thank you so much for the candidates here and also the office bearer, Imelda, for joining us today as well for the debating session. And stay tuned for the next debating session, which is the School of Medicine and Health Sciences representative debating session. That will also be happening at the same channel that will be starting in a while as well. So see you guys soon.